like this.
Just something to jot notes down in case I think you say something stupid and I need to write it down.
Here's my notes for when you say so nice.
Oh, I need half a piece of paper. You need a book. All right.
Oh.
You ready?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. Welcome, my brothers and sisters, to Two Old Goats. Let's get uncomfortable.
All right, welcome back. We'll get started.
Yeah. So, one thing that's been crossing my mind a lot lately, and it might just be because I've done a few fifth steps in the last month, which is, in our program, someone, saying out loud the nature of their beasts, all
right.
the trials and tribulations, the shit they've been through, seen, real or fabricated, right?
Right.
We speak it out to our higher power, to another human, and to ourselves. And so I've been hearing a lot of that stuff, and the big part of that is searching for my part.
Right.
And that's been constantly going in my mind lately. And so I think that's a good place to start, unless you got something else.
No, that's a good place to start. I think the other thing that kind of came to mind this week was we used to have a saying that we used a lot. It was, what was it? Consistent, imperfect action.
Yes.
And I think that kind of goes along with what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. Getting started in this deal, get going. That fourth step you're talking about, that's really probably the first time in most people's life where they ever stop and take an inventory and actually look at where they are.
Right.
And saying this is essentially what we're looking at is, this is what I created. Right. Not what God created, but it's anyway. Go ahead though.
Well, so that part, I think that's what's been getting me is so we come across these individuals, they put their hands up, right? They're willing to do something, just willing to do something different, because to the best of their abilities, it got them where they were in life, which was, financial mayhem or relationship mayhem or professional or addiction or whatever it may be, right? Their best way of thinking and doing got them there, right? So this inventory part and then understanding my part in that. I've had a few, the reason why I guess it's been constantly going is...
So are you talking about your part as you doing the inventory or your part as a sponsor or a person hearing the inventory?
No, I'm talking about when you're doing your inventory, you're writing down your resentments, the things you resent, right? The things that you fear, and then the sex list, right?
Right.
And we write down those names, we write down all that stuff. Oh God, ladies and gentlemen, we have an amazing guest.
Yeah.
We have Lil'Chrissy.
And some goat fuel.
Oh, we got the goat.
What's up, old goats?
Right. What's up,
How y'all doing?
Good, brother.
These motherfuckers over here podcasting.
That's right. Come on in.
I'm trying to get one in.
Yeah. Trying to get a quick one in.
Yeah. Quickie?
That's right. So my part is so we write down the names, we write down the causes, right, and how it affects me. But the secret to it, the miracle part is when we focus on my part of it. Why is it still in my life? Why does it continue to come back? Why am I continue fearful of it? Whatever it may be, right? Either is it continually still happening to this day? If it's not, then why do I continue to hold on to it, right? We're looking at my part in those things. And I've had a few conversations with some individuals in my life, and I would bring something up to their attention, and instead of looking at it in another point of view of, oh, what's my part in this? How can I fix my side of the street, right? They're more focused on defending or protecting their side, right? Their point of view, their whatever. And I'm like, well, can we have a conversation about this? Because I'm gonna step outside of my comfort zone. And I'm gonna put myself in your shoes for a moment. I'd like to understand where you're coming from. Then that other person's like, well, I have no fucking interest in looking at your side because I'm so busy protecting mine, right? And that makes for some tough conversations.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
No doubt.
so I think that's why it's just been trickling on and on about my part. And I guess I need to continue looking more at my part because I'm getting frustrated talking to individuals that have no interest whatsoever to look at their side.
To look at their own part.
Right.
The ones you're doing the work with?
No, these are just regular.
Oh,
These
okay.
are normies.
Yeah, normal people. Why the hell? They don't have to. Why do they need to look at their stuff?
Well, our program says that it can help everybody in
Yeah.
all aspects of life.
Well, it's true. That was a couple good things I like you pointed out. And one of them was you were explaining that, this is not a program. It's not about not drinking. It's
Right.
not about whatever the addiction is. I mean, initially it is because it works a lot better if you're not doing that stuff. So, what this program is about is it's about something I never knew, and that is how do I live?
Right.
Which is the point you were getting at was how do I live? And doing this inventory, figuring out, when we get here, like you said, our best thinking got us here, so it's not going to solve our problems. We're going to need some help with that. And that's kind of where the inventory comes in to say, look, this is you. This is me.
Right.
It's a look in the mirror. We do the mirror thing from the Goggins deal. And I don't think it's as shocking to us whenever we first did it as maybe regular people, because we've written out our inventories before, several times and at different times, whenever we need to. And but you're right. All the money, all the magic happens in what we call the fourth column, which comes later, a few pages in the book. But what's my part, and that's
Right.
it. And when it's funny because I was asking whether you were doing an inventory or listening to one. In a lot of ways, the job is the same because really what we're trying to get to is what's the truth.
Right.
So whether it's me writing down what I think the truth is, and then what's my part, and then talking with another person about it after I've already talked to, the step involves God and yourself first.
Right.
So I've already admitted to God and to myself. So now I'm going to involve another human being, and the job is the same, to find the truth. And if I'm listening, my job is to help that person find the truth. And that doesn't mean I'm telling them what to do or anything like that. Mostly just listening.
Mm-hmm.
And when they hit a truth, kind of, that's a good one. Maybe you want to look at that. I know, I've shared before, probably on this, I don't remember, but I had a couple things I was holding on to that I didn't want to share. And freaking Steve fell asleep. I thought my inventory was so bad I was going to go straight to jail when it was over.
Right.
And but now he freaking fell asleep, and I looked over there and he's asleep. And I go, I'm going to say these last two things that I was hanging on to, but this will make it official. And so I said them, and he slammed on the table and goes, "About damn time you told some truth." So, it wasn't that it was all lies. It was just that I got down to something real.
Right.
And that's what we're looking for.
Well, and that's the thing that's been crossing my mind too while I'm having those conversations is I remember the conversation when you called up Steve that one time and you were bitching and complaining about something that's been going on in your life, and you're like, fucking mother, all this shit's happening. And Steve goes, what are you so scared of?
Yeah, what are you afraid of?
Right, what are you afraid of?
Right.
You're like, motherfucker, you ain't listening. Let me repeat myself.
Afraid I'm about to come over and beat your ass.
So
because that could whoop you.
I tried that with a normie.
Right.
I said my side. I said I'd like to understand your side. So I listened to. I go, okay, I can see that. Can you see mine? And they're like, why would I look at yours?
Yeah.
And I said, what are you so afraid of?
Right.
And they looked at me. What the fuck are you talking about? I'm right, you're
Right.
wrong, and that's it. And I'm like, but you're not even willing to see my side at all.
Right.
And they're like, I have no interest.
No need.
And I'm like, but what if my side's right? And they're like, it's not.
Yeah.
I'm not interested whatsoever.
Right. It doesn't
Right.
work for them. And they can figure that out.
And that's a tough part to try to have a logical, sensible adult conversation
Yeah. With someone who's not interested in pleasing me.
at all. Right? That
I
fucking
know.
pisses
That
me off.
changes the whole tone.
Can we just have a regular conversation?
Right.
So then that takes me back to now what's my part? Why is that pissing? What am I so afraid of?
Mm.
Right? Now I'm getting pissed.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm getting mad. What am I so afraid of that person's not going to just take a moment and hear my side?
Mm-hmm.
That pisses me off. And
Yeah.
I don't want to talk anymore.
Okay.
My podcast is fucking over with right now.
Well, there you go. Well, that's a healthy person that's not codependent,
Mm-hmm.
and they've got what works for them, and they're good with that. But our big thing, and the reason we do all this, and ultimately the point you're getting to is what we're having to do is clean up a lot of our BS, our bullshit, and so that we can have a connection with a higher power. Remember, the whole goal of this spiritual journey or whatever is to have a ongoing, relationship with a higher power or a spirit, and to grow in that and towards that. And I
Right.
think that's what this is doing. So, I think the consistency part, we wanted to bring that up a little bit because I went on vacation again for a few days. So I was thinking I need to be more consistent in vacationing instead of just, a couple of weeks, a couple of days, a couple of weeks out of the year. I think I'm changing my whole reason for working. You got to have a reason.
All right.
I think I'm changing it to vacation.
I think that's how you're supposed to work.
So I could just go on vacation.
My father-in-law was good with that. He goes, listen, work serves a purpose. The reason why I go to work, pay my bills, and so I can go on hunting vacation.
Yeah.
That's what gets me motivated. I wake up extra early every day, get to work, bust my ass, try to make bonuses when I can, whatever it is, but it's not about the job. It's about the end result. The end result is I get to go buy a new rifle this year. I get to add some more stuff to my hunting shack this year. That's all he thinks about. While he's busting his ass doing his thing, he's thinking, I'll be able to get another box of ammo. I'm going to work some overtime. It's just a whole nother mindset. He's not even thinking about the work. He's thinking about the result.
Yeah.
What's going to happen.
Right.
By putting in today's work, tomorrow takes care of itself.
Oh, there
Right?
you go.
So he had a very interesting mindset. And, but back to my part. So I've been meditating on this
Okay.
a lot. And some things that my higher power has been speaking to me, and it did really upset me. But it was statements like, my job is to share the message, and only when absolutely necessary should I open my fucking mouth.
Mm.
And that upset me because I have a lot of things to share. But my higher power keeps steering me towards the shut the fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
Hear their side and be okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to share your side. I go, why not? My side's really interesting. Right? Why aren't they interested in hearing what I have to say?
Does this refer to like everyday situations?
Yes, almost every fucking conversation. I take time. I go, I would love to hear your part, Lil'Chrissy. And Lil'Chrissy shares with me. And then Lil'Chrissy goes, okay, bye. I'm like,
Right.
but what about me? What about asking me how I'm doing?
Right.
You know what I'm
Aren't we
saying?
supposed to give our suggestion?
Oh,
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
that's it. We're not
our
like,
suggestions are supposed to be by actions, though, not by
what
words.
if I just walk off?
I don't use the word.
That's the part. My part is my only job is to understand, not to be understood. That's the St. Francis prayer, step 11 prayer. I need to understand, not to be understood. I need to comfort, not to be comforted. And that's really pissing me off.
There's gotta be a middle ground here.
There's not. That's purgatory. That's the middle ground.
Well, let me suggest this. I'll tell you a little.
Oh, sorry.
I'll tell you a little story.
Hold on, let me write something down.
You know, if we want to be more spiritual, one of the things is to become more childlike. We do, you know, we've read that over and over,
Okay.
and we can see that. And you know, kind of the stuff you're talking about, being okay with where someone else is, even though they're not interested in my feelings and my amazing thoughts. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Even though their life would be a lot better, as I'm sure your friends would be too, if they would just listen.
They would all be way better.
Right.
I know they would.
I think so.
Well, here was my ultimate lesson. This happened at my daughter's wedding a few months ago, however long ago it was. But anyway, my youngest grandson, Vance, we were playing around and I was kind of hanging out with him and he was climbing all over me and everything. And we were just having a ball and then cutting up and laughing and playing with his brother. But anyway, it got time to go and they were getting ready to leave. And my daughter goes, "Tell Pop bye." And Vance turns around and goes, "Bye, Pop." And I go, "Did I get a hug?" He goes, "Nope." And he left. Nope. And I was good with that because I was like, all right, he's got stuff to do, man. That guy, go get him.
Nice.
You know, that was cool. But just flat out, nope. No emotion, no nothing.
Nothing.
No,
I was
really,
like,
it's really awesome.
That's how it
honestly.
should be.
I was
Yeah.
actually going to call one of you guys and tell you guys about this. The other day, I had a customer who really loved me so much, they invited me to dinner.
Wow.
They were paying me back for whatever I did for them. Dude,
All right.
they have a 1.5-year-old son that started choking on a peach, like a piece of peach, but like really fucking choking. Like face turned red, couldn't get a cop out, was dying. And I thought I was about to watch this kid die in front of me. They put the finger down the throat, everything, and then finally it just comes up after like what seemed 10 minutes, probably like 30 seconds.
All right.
But he finally cries for about 30 seconds and then just goes on with his day. And I sat down with his dad and I was like, dude, that's what I love about kids. If that happened to us, we'd be sitting here contemplating life, wasting the next 2 weeks about, oh my God, I just almost lost my life. He doesn't give a fuck that he just almost died.
Right.
Kept it pushing.
The experience, move on.
Absolute.
They do the
fucking legend.
Facebook post. They call all their friends, tell them all the stories.
I almost died.
Dude, this kid's almost died. Just like the next thing you do is jumping off 3 flights of stairs, just fucking having fun. I was like, wow, like seriously,
Yeah.
what a fucking lesson.
He
Just
won't,
pushing.
he won't remember it unless you remind him about it
Right.
constantly.
Oh yeah, childlike stuff.
Yeah.
Well, see, the child, I have to be careful with that because there's a line on the child part that I got to be careful with because I remember when I was a child and I wouldn't shut up, right? Then there's times when I was a child where all I cared about was I wanted to learn, right? I didn't talk the whole time. It was like the infant that just sits there and wonder and just listens and, just, oh, that's interesting. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden we start becoming namers and knowers, and now we can't shut up. We
Mhm.
miss it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's a big one.
So I think that's the lesson that I'm learning right now on my part is that I'm at the level now that I really need to shut up a lot more.
Yeah,
I really do.
I agree. I've been telling you.
Fuck off,
I agree.
motherfucker.
Oh, that's a good realization. Consistently,
Oh yeah, yeah. Mhm. I appreciate your observation.
right?
You were waiting for me to get there.
I
Huh?
was actually. That's all good.
What I was thinking was,
I did want to talk about one more thing.
you gotta talk though, like in our situation, you gotta talk to get the newcomer to work with you though, right? You know what I'm saying? Like there gotta be some sort of talking. I guess the only talking we're really supposed to do is read the black part. You know what I'm saying? So read the
No.
black part, but then also, how do I like to Jacob? How do I demonstrate to him
Mhm.
other than me telling him about my experience? 'Cause I don't live with him. I'm not around him.
You pick them up and bring them to a meeting every day.
Well, yeah.
That's
But
part of
there's
it.
so many other aspects of like how he reacts to life
Yeah.
that I tell him how I now respond to life. You
Right.
can't see how I respond to my boss. You can't see how I respond to family.
Right.
But I have to tell them. You know what I'm saying?
So the difference there, and I completely agree with you. In the book at the beginning, it's about attraction, right? I'm sharing my experience. It doesn't say I'm sharing my suggestions. You see what I'm saying? I'm sharing my experiences. I drank like this. I fucked like this. I did this. I did that. Whatever it was, right?
Right.
And they're like, hey, I did the same thing. You and I can talk, right?
Mhm.
Now I shut up and I just read the black part. I don't suggest anything other than I just share my experience. This is what I did, right? My issue that I've been having is I can't stop with my issues. Or my point of view, right? I want you to completely understand the complete iota breakdown of how I did it, why I did it, and how it's done exactly. And then you should memorize that and now go put it into practice and give me feedback on my suggestion.
Well, I think the part we're missing in that though is we got to let them live their life. If we tell them how to do everything, then they're not going to figure out anything new.
Right.
And that was one thing that was one of my nephews camped out with us last trip, and that was one of the things that just in talking to him was blatantly obvious is, man, they're going to have to do things a lot different than we did.
Right.
Because this is change. Things are changing. You know, the world's changing faster and faster. And the way it's been run up to now for us, you know, it just needs to be a different way. It's a different time,
Right.
you know.
And that's why we need to shut up a little bit more.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
we can share our experience.
Right.
They can take with it whatever they want, but I got to let them be.
Well, the part is I like to sit back and enjoy the show.
Well, the show can be very interesting.
And remember, you used to call me a lot, and you had a lot of interesting questions.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think I educated you quite
Why
a
are
bit.
you laughing?
You laughed a lot.
I did.
There was something wrong with you.
No, I was laughing in celebration of the fact that you were open-minded and trying to check out every little nook and cranny.
I was childlike.
Aspect. You were.
I was childlike.
That's what I'm saying. So we got to let them be childlike, so they can test the boundaries and figure out different stuff that doesn't work.
But see, that's where I've been going wrong lately. Is now I'm a namer and a knower.
Yeah.
And I need to tell you.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
I need to share this with you because you need to learn.
Well, I can tell you from experience, over the next 10 years, you'll start going, oh, I'm going to watch this show. Let's see what happens. I already told that guy 3 times.
Right.
Okay, now let's just see what happens.
Well,
that's all you can do. So,
yeah,
that's cool. The other part I wanted to talk about real quick was got in a conversation, I think you were there, and we were talking about, you know, a lot of the material we read.
Right.
A lot of different books, different things, and you know, it's kind of one of the thoughts was, oh, it's the same old thing over and over. It's the same, blah 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 blah. But I guess that's one way to look at it. That's never been the way I look at it, and I don't think it's the same thing over and over. I think if you believe that, if you don't see, okay, our program starts with our big book, or Alcoholics Anonymous is the name of the book. We call it the big book.
Right.
That's where it starts. Well, all the stuff we read, I can see the program and all this stuff we read all through the thing. But to me, the most important thing, and you know, the way that I measure, take in stuff, is this stuff for me, is I test it through the principles of the program.
Right.
Same with everything I read. So to me, it's not, you can do that this way, or you can do it this other way, or this other. That's not what that's about. Because if you don't, especially for us, if we don't believe in a, you know, higher power or something that's bigger than us and more powerful than us, we spend all this time chasing all this other shit. It's like we don't have a God. It's like, you know, what did we worship? Well, we worship booze, we worship drugs, we worship, you know, money,
vagina,
girls. Yeah, I like what Mel says. He says, I like large trophies with my name on it, short skirts, and big checks that I can cash made out with my name on it.
That's right.
But that's the stuff we like. So anyway, I think we do have to understand our principles and understand what we're looking for and when we're seeing it through all this.
Right. Well, I just had a conversation with another guy in the program about that. He was one of the big benefactors of the whole. I'm tired of reading the same book over and over and over and over. Right. And I've shared with you guys before. I like reading the same books over and over. I do like adding new books. Don't get me wrong, but the whole point is that I'm seeking that thread. Right. I'm seeking that thread of above all things love, because it's in all those books, right? That's my enjoyment. I try to find that. But for the most part, if I'm reading the same book over and over, it's a test for me if I'm growing. Because if the book reads the same and I'm like, this book is stupid, it's the same message, that is a huge red flag for me. For me,
Yeah,
it's a huge red
what
flag.
you meant by that on
Right?
Saturday. It was not I'm reading the same thing over and over again. I'm in the same spot over
Right,
and over again.
exactly.
I haven't moved.
So that's why I do go back and I do read those books over, right? See if the message is changing to make sure I'm still on the right path.
Right.
The second one is I was explaining this to the other guy. I go, look at it this way, because if you keep reading the same books, imagine back in grade school. Why would you continue reading the same book over and over every year, every year? He goes, well, that means you would fail that grade and you'd go back and start over. Yes. So what is that telling you? If you're not ready to get past that to the next level, if you're not understanding these books yet, right? If you're not grasping the concept that these books are going to enlighten your life because there's action involved with this book, go back to the second grade and start over again. I do believe our big book originally said, if you don't get it by now, throw the book away and get going. Move on. Right?
Yep.
So those are the big factors. For one is it does help me. Well, am I ready to graduate to the next level? Add another book to the arsenal, right? If not, I'm going back and I'm going to reread some books. You and I had a talk after the gym this morning. We were talking about Can't Hurt Me, and we were talking about all the bullshit workouts and all that stuff, right? All the gimmicks and gadgets and whatever that come our way, right? And I had said that the truth is David Goggins stuff worked last year, right? Or it was actually the year before last. I got down to 210. I think I did 8 triathlons that year. I ran my first half marathon in the dark, in the woods, right? I did all that stuff. I did the Hotter Than Hell 100 that year. I mean, I was busting my ass and I was loving life. And then I stopped. That's what happened. It wasn't that it didn't work. I stopped doing it, So that's why I keep saying it works if you work it.
You didn't have that consistent, imperfect action.
No, I did not. I stopped. I thought I arrived.
Yeah.
Dude, did you see how many fucking trophies I had?
Yeah.
I had fucking arms.
Yeah.
Full of them.
All right.
Not one of them's going to keep me freaking thin.
I don't think it ever says in our book that we have arrived. I mean, it says
it does
we had the thought, or Bill Wilson thought.
I thought I had arrived.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite parts.
That's one of my biggest, no. That's
You
one of my biggest character defects.
I have arrived?
I want to arrive.
All right.
I want to sit on the couch and eat bonbons.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah, and watch. Yeah.
And see, that's my problem, is that I have arrived.
Right.
Right?
Not yet.
No.
We're working on it.
Yeah. That's more or less what I was
That's
trying
me.
to explain to our friend on Saturday. Well, like you guys were saying at the beginning, all you can think about is, let me stop doing all these drugs and alcohol for me. Then past that, once you finally get away from the obsession of the mind, you're like, what the fuck why am I here? What am I doing? finally get a little idea of what you're doing, and then you start actually moving in the direction of what you're doing, and that's when those books and the tapes and all that shit just starts making sense, and I can listen to it over and fucking over and over and over again because I'm on a different part of that journey.
Right.
I already told you guys, I listened to those tapes hundreds of times. I'm going to be reaching thousands probably by the end of this year. And I still learn something every single time because I'm on a different part of the journey. There's so much past not drinking and using. It's insane.
Well, absolutely. And at the end of the day, you know, the reason why the books don't work, the reason why the program doesn't work is because everything's a burden. I don't get to do any of this stuff. I have to do it. I have to do it. It's just a bad mindset. You know, I want to be willing to do it. If I have to read that book again, I want to do it. Right? I have a mindset that I want to do that. I don't want to have the mindset of fuck, I have to go to the gym again. You know, I want to say, oh shit, I get to go to the gym today. That's awesome because I know how I'm going to feel afterwards. You know, and when you get to that level, man, shit, you can read a book over and over and over, and it's an amazing experience because it transforms.
Oh yeah, you definitely get a lot more. I think the other thing that happens is I was talking with Chris about it earlier. Was, you know, we learn some of these things, we learn these principles, and then every now and then we can get, especially when you're working with other alcoholics, you get to go, oh, that's what that looks like. Right. Okay, now I know what they're talking about. You know, because, you know, some of the language is a little bit older language, and, you know, he says, you know, what blocks our spirituals is pomp, worship of other things, and stuff like that. Well, that's not real common language these days. So what does that mean? But it's real cool whenever you learn all this stuff, and then you are in the moment enough where you see people doing it and go, that's what that, or, you know, better yet, you do it yourself again and go, you know, you were talking about you get to do the same thing, make the same mistakes over and over. Right. Yeah, I think until you learn.
Until you learn.
Yeah.
How many years you're going to stay in second grade?
The minute you do it right, you don't ever have to do it again.
Right.
So,
and then that's when the
book, somebody else.
The book does transform.
Right.
You know,
it changes.
I mean, the truth is, if you look back in school, the math book, it's the same math book. Just as you get to the next level, they get a little bit more difficult, a little bit more understanding. But if you can't grasp the basic elementary one, then the second grade one's not going to make sense. So you might as well go back to first grade again until that is ingrained in you, and the 1 + 1 = 2 is fixated. You got it. I understand that. Now let's put it in a algorithm or whatever, right?
That's not the way it works.
No. Okay. Never mind.
Now they do all this counting fingers and toes.
I don't know anything about that shit. I don't even want to pretend I understand.
It's different. It's different. They have a new math.
I bet you they do. I know when my kids grew up, they were doing different math. They had some little window thing, and
yeah. I
go, what ever happened to just 1 + 1?
Yeah, flashcards and getting whacked on the head.
Right? I don't understand.
That's how mine was. Wow.
That's right.
I missed it again.
So that's what I'm going to practice on. Going back to my part, I'm going to practice shutting up, understanding, not being understood.
Okay.
That's what I'm going to start focusing on.
Good. And being the example, living the word.
Being the example in actions, not words.
Not words. Okay. I like it.
Yep.
Sounds like a path.
All right.
I don't have anything else. You done?
I'm done if you're done.
All right. We'll see y'all next week.
All right. Peace
Have
out.
a good one. Peace out.
Shout out Goat Fuel.
Goat Fuel.
There it is.
That's the new.
This is for y'all.
There you go.
Sponsor the old goats.
That's right.
I hadn't seen that.
Yeah. It was Old Man Energy.